Namaste to all the students. I, JVN Dr. Ekta Rana, Assistant Professor of English in Faculty of Education and Methodology. I welcome you in the lecture of English Literature. Our today's topic is Introduction to Language. First of all, we will discuss what language is. The ability to use language, perhaps more than any one or other attribute, distinguishes humans from other animals. But but what does it mean to know a language? When you know a language, you can speak or sign and be understood by others who know that language. 5 years olds already know their first language. The ability to use a language requires profound knowledge that most speakers don't know that they know. Try to not understand what I am saying, just as impossible as trying not to be fooled by optical illusions. You cannot stop blinking or having peripheral vision. For example, rotating snakes. The circular snakes appear to rotate spontaneously in your peripheral vision as a result of the peripheral drift illusion. Notice how the movement stops when you look directly at a collection of concentric circles. The illusion is probably caused by unconscious rapid eye movements and the blinkings. And when we know a language, we know that sounds or signs are used in the language and which sounds or signs are not used. Okay. This also includes knowing how the sounds of the language can be combined. Which sound may start a word, which sounds may end a word, and which sounds may follow each other within a word. Okay. Knowing the sounds of your language also involves knowing how your face looks when you produce them. Makruk affect here dada, but what is pronounced is baba, but lips move to gaga. Okay, he is a man, Makruk, a linguist. This is the overview here. Here is the typical development of speech and language. Here it is like most children follow a relatively predictable sequence in their acquisition of speech and language, both to 6 months communication while smiling, crying, and babbling. Okay, 6 month students, 6 month child, kid, what he do? He just smile, cry, or babble. But from 7 months to 1 year, babbling becomes differentiated. Okay, then from 1 to 1.6 years learns to say several words. About parents, start calling their parents their siblings. Okay, then 1.6 to 7 2 years word spurt begins. 2 to 3 years talks in sentences, vocabulary grows, and the child of 3 years vocabulary grows. This is how speech or language develops. Knowledge of normal language development can help determine whether a child is developing language at a slower then normal rate, or whether the child shows an abnormal pattern of language development. Okay. Knowing a language also means identifying certain strings of sounds as meaningful words. Most words in the languages are arbitrary connections of sound to meaning. Okay, like hand. In French, it is main. In Twi, it is nasa. In Russian, it is ruka. Knowing a language does not mean we know its history or the etymology of words. It does not mean this. Many words of English have a common ancestor with similar words in other languages. Languages changes, so there will be always be proto languages. The structure of proto languages dies with its speakers. Okay. Then comes ancestral proto languages. One way we can tell if languages are genetically related is if they have a large number of sound correspondences. Where an English word begins with an F, the corresponding word in French and Spanish begins with P. Okay. English father, fish. In French it is pere, poisson. In Spanish it is padre, pescado. From these correspondence, we can hypothesize that Indo-European had P, since more related languages have the P form, and that and at some point the P become F in the Germanic sound. Hmm. This does not mean that a modern speaker um, of English has this knowledge as part of her grammar. Knowledge of words, the conventional and arbitrary relationship between form and meaning is also true in sign language. Here, communication. If we know language, then only we can communicate. Uh, so, communication involves encoding, transmitting, and then decoding messages, and it involves a message, a sender, who is the expressor, and the receiver, who is the responder. Okay, then functions of communication are to narrate, to explain, or to inform the other, and then to request, or to, yes, as I have told, that to express, to explain something. There are some words whose pronunciation seems to reflect the meaning, like onomatopoeia. English cook a doodle do, and Finnish kukoku. These are some. Every language has an infinite number of possible sentences. Knowing a language enables you to create a sentence that has never been uttered before. Understand a sentence that has never been uttered before. Most sentences we use are new. Very few sentences are stored in our brains. Language is more than a set of words, because words must be ordered in certain ways to create sentences. Our knowledge of language allows us to separate possible sentences from non sentences. Like, what he did was climb a tree. What he thought was want a sports car. Language is a formalized code that a group of people use to communicate. Okay, and there are different dimensions of language. Like, the first one is phonology. It is the rules which determine that how sounds can be sequenced. Then comes morphology. It is a rule which shows the meaning, which tells the meaning of the sound. Then comes syntax. It shows the rules for a language's grammar. Then semantics, shows the rules for the meanings of the words. Then comes pragmatics. This is about the rules for communication, in which we use gestures, intonations, prosody. Okay, and then classification system of words like nouns, verbs, pronouns, prepositions, adjectives, adverbs, conjunctions, and all these. Thank you for watching.